1989, Tokyo, Japan. The Nikkei hits a record high and 8 of the world's 10 largest companies are Japanese. Japan is dominating and America is terrified. Japan's GDP per capita is 10% higher than America's. The Rockefeller Center, an American icon, is owned by the Japanese, and movies like Blade Runner imagine a future ruled by the Japanese. It felt like the rising sun would never set, or so it seemed. In 1990, the Nikkei dropped 38% and lost $2 trillion of market value. And even now, in 2024, Japan's wages have yet to recover to levels seen during the economic miracle. So what went wrong? This is Japan, the setting of the rising sun. To understand Japan's economic miracle, we need to go back to the late 40s. Following its surrender, Japan became partially occupied by the US government, and its economy entered a recession not long after. The country was in shambles. Its factories were destroyed, much of its labor force was dead, and trade relations frayed. The US was deeply worried that Japan, like China, would fall into communist arms. To prevent this, they initiated aggressive economic reforms. They dismantled the Zaibatsu system, which concentrated wealth and power among a few families. They reformed land ownership laws, giving ordinary Japanese citizens a stake in the economy. And most importantly, they turned Japan into an export powerhouse, first by supporting the Korean War effort, then by fueling industrialization with low-interest loans. The results were incredible. From 1953 to 57, exports of Japanese manufactured goods increased by 143%. Compare this to the United States at 51% and the United Kingdom at 31%. But Japan was just getting started. In 1959, low-cost textiles still dominated Japanese exports, with much of this heading to unstable and poor Asian markets. Recognizing this, the Ministry of Trade and Industry launched a new industrial policy, pushing Japan towards high-tech, high-quality manufacturing and stronger trade partners. This marked the beginning of Japan's manufacturing renaissance. Supported by foreign direct investment and a strengthening economy, Japan invested heavily in manufacturing. Given much of their industrial base was destroyed during World War II, they had to start from scratch, importing world-class technologies to create the most advanced manufacturing footprint in the world. By 1965, Japan had a trade surplus, and by 1970, the country had grown exports by 380%, becoming the fifth largest economy on Earth, growing GDP fivefold and eclipsing China, France, the UK, and West Germany. Japan's economy showed no signs of stopping and continued to grow at an average rate of 5% a year for nearly 15 years. The key driver for this was exports. If Japan made it, the world bought it. This helped Japan become extremely wealthy, and Japanese citizens started getting a taste of the finer things in life. In 1978, Louis Vuitton entered Tokyo's Ginza district and quickly became one of their best performing stores. Hermes followed suit in 1979, and by the 80s, Prada and other luxury giants were firmly rooted in Japan, seeing record sales. Japan was booming. Meanwhile, in the US, companies were kicking and screaming. Between 1980 and 85, the dollar appreciated nearly 50%, putting intense pressure on domestic manufacturing. To address this, the US, France, the UK, West Germany, and Japan met and signed the Plaza Accords. The agreement was simple. The Japanese yen needed to depreciate relative to the US dollar, strengthening the American export economy and weakening the surplus that Japan had. Feeling the pressure from their allies, the Japanese had no choice, and within 3 years, the Japanese yen went from 239 yen per dollar to nearly half at 128 yen per dollar. The rapid appreciation of the yen made Japanese goods way more expensive and reduced export demand, softening the overall economy. This triggered a series of events that would lead to Japan's lost decade. To combat a weakening economy, Japan acted swiftly. They cut interest rates to a record low 2.5%, the lowest in the world at the time, and opened credit markets, making debt more accessible than ever. The impact was immediate. The already booming economy ballooned almost overnight. Citizens and companies dove headfirst into stock and real estate speculation. Land values began to skyrocket as cheap money fueled speculation. Japanese tax laws only added to the fire, as ordinary citizens avoided capital gains taxes while the wealthy sidestepped inheritance taxes, making real estate the perfect investment. But not just real estate, land in particular. No one cared about the buildings, no one cared about the rental income, all they wanted was the land. The banking system was also out of control, with almost no checks and balances. Encouraged by the government to lend endlessly, banks handed out loans with little concern for credit quality, using investments as collateral, investments that were greatly overinflated. And even as asset prices ballooned, the Bank of Japan hesitated to raise rates, fearing a market cool down. But by May 1989, there was no choice. Rates climbed from 2.5% to 3.25%, eventually peaking at 6% in August 1990. This sent the market into a shock and panic. But that wasn't all. The Ministry of Finance imposed restrictions on real estate-related loans, triggering a rapid collapse in land prices as buyers could no longer seek debt to fuel their speculation. And by the end of 1990, the Nikkei had lost nearly $1 trillion of value, and real estate prices fell by an additional $3 trillion. The sun had set. The lost decades had just begun. In the aftermath of Japan's 1990 economic crash, the nation faced a once-in-a-generation crisis. What followed were decades of policy missteps, hesitations, and missed opportunities that left Japan mired in stagnation. While other nations recovered from similar crises, Japan's unique set of responses created a system that, by 2024, still struggles with sluggish growth, deflation, and an aging population. Now let's break it down. This timeline maps out 5 key policies that have shaped Japan's economy